Hi guys, and welcome to another Divi video. This is Jamie from System22 and webdesigntechtips.com. Well, today we're continuing on with our little theme of menu decoration up here. We've got a sort of glowing button or border effect. When you hover over the little link up there, it puts a little sort of mock glowing border around your links up there. That's a nice little effect, really easy to do too. And our active page, if I change pages, will have that effect also. So we're going to be using a bit of CSS today, writing a bit of CSS. Don't let that put you off. Any CSS I write today, I'll put down below the video. And you're welcome to manipulate it and use it how you will. So let's get started. Now this is going to work best today if you've got a dark background. So we switched out our menu heading here for a darker one and got a light logo. So I'll just undo what I've got going on here. And we'll go back and refresh, and this should revert to the normal. Okay, as you can see, I've got an active color on my button here of that sort of orangey color. And white links there, and the background. This is all set in the customizer. In the header and navigation, in the primary menu settings. As you can see, I've just set my active link to that crazy orange color and the background color to blue. Okay, I'm using Google Chrome today with the great free inspector tools. Most browsers have this nowadays. But if you want to use Chrome, it is a free download. So I'm going to right click and inspect one of these links. That's going to bring up my inspector panel here. And it's taking me to the link that I've inspected. Now then, what do we want to do with it? Well, I want to make the color, that orange color for all of them. Let's inspect one that's not the active link. So I've got that color saved over here. We're going to be overriding some styles as well. So I'm going to say color, colon. I'm going to put in that color, the orange color. And I'm going to say important because we're overriding some styles there. As you can see, it's turned that one orange now. But when I hover over it, it kind of goes a little bit dull. I'll change that later with an opacity when we actually write it into our custom CSS box. Okay, let's make this permanent. We need to write it into our CSS. So if we look, we've got menu item and we're affecting the anchor tag. So I'll double left click on there, just select this first class, menu item, and it says it's a class right there. Go to my custom CSS box, which is dashboard, down to Divi, to theme options. We're on the General tab, and it's located right at the bottom. You can also find it in your customizer. Now it's a class, so it has to have a period in front of it or a dot, then the class name. Then we want to affect that anchor tag that's attached to it, so we put A, and open and close some curly brackets. In between, I can paste that bit of code that we wrote, which is right there. Because if you notice, if I refresh now, that'll disappear back to normal. As you can see, if I put this in, it'll keep it colored. But we only want this to happen when we're hovering on it. So after the A, I'm going to put a colon. No space between the A and the colon, then no space between the colon and the word hover, H-O-V-E-R. Now if we go back and refresh now, it'll still look the same, but when I hover over it, it should turn orange. There we go. But it's a little dull there. So like I was saying before, I want to get that full orange like I want over here. So we've got to overwrite the opacity styles, or see-throughness, because it's got a bit of see-throughness. So I'm going to say opacity, colon, 1, which is fully visible. And we're overriding a style again, so I've got to use important. Semicolon. Always put a semicolon after your line of code. If you don't do that, it will not read another line if you put another line in there. Okay, so that should have fixed that. Now we need to work on our button. Just check that. Take this down a little bit. There we go, that's much more of a full orange right there. Okay, now let's work on the surrounding area of our button, which is just the actual list item itself, top menu list item, which is right here. Any of them will do. Again, you can just click on any one. I guess I'll use the same one. That'll take you to the anchor tag. We want the parent category just above it, menu item. If I click on it, we look over here. It's top menu list item is what it is. Okay, now if I hover over it, you can see it's only spreading from the word or the link to the bottom of the header there. I want it to be full height, so I need to add a bit of padding. And from memory, we did this with a similar one yesterday, so I'm going to say padding. And on top, I want it to be 40 pixels. It'll look a bit strange till we get it organized. And on the right, 5 pixels. On the bottom, 0 pixels. And on the left, 5 pixels also. That works, but it's actually pushed it down by 40 pixels because of the padding on the top. So I've got to pull it back with a bit of negative margin. I'll say margin top. And we'll do negative 40 pixels. There we go. Now when I hover over it, it should stretch, yeah, from the top of the header right there to the bottom of the header. And I'm going to have to force that with the important class because it's not doing one side, it looks like. There we go. They're all in the middle now. That's exactly what we want for our little buttons. All right. So we want to give it a border. What I'm going to do is I'll give it a border that we can't see, so it takes up the real estate there. Or I'll give it a border that we can see. So let's give it, I'm going to say border. I'm going to make it 1 pixel solid. And I want my orange color again. There it is, we got our nice border in there. Okay, now we want to make it sort of glow slightly. We don't want it on all of them, but we want it on both of them. So I'm going to put a box shadow in there with that same orange color, which should create our glow, or sort of glow effect. So I'm going to say box shadow. And I don't want it offset at all, so I'm going to say 0 pix by 0 pix. And for the spread, I want to give it about 10 pix. But I'm going to give it that same orange color, so I want 10 pix. And let's give it that orange color. And as you can see, it's sort of giving it a bit of a glow in between there and on the outside, which is a bit like a little neon glow there. Alright, let's copy what we've got here and make it permanent. We don't want all of those to be glowing at once, so we only really want this on the hover effect. So I'll copy it over, all the stuff that we've changed from the bottom entry that I made. We don't need anything else. We can grab these. And we want top menu list items, so I'm going to grab the whole thing to the last entry I made, which was the margin. Control C. Back to our custom CSS. I'm going to paste it in and add the closing curly bracket, and we'll just drop that down one. Okay, we've got to think about this because most of this I don't want when we're not hovering over it, and this is a non-hover state. Let's copy this again, the whole thing including the new curly bracket, and drop down, and we'll make a hover state below. again, after the word list item, LI, we want a colon, no space, and then no space and the word hover. Now I don't need to change the padding, that's going to stay the same, so I can delete that. The border I do need to change. Box shadow, we're not going to change that, or the margin, so we can get rid of that. In fact, we are going to change the box shadow. I'm going to copy that box shadow, put that back. Now here in the non-hover state, the padding's fine. The border, I want it there, but I don't want to be able to see it, so I'm going to say transparent. If we don't put that in, what will happen is we'll hover over it, it'll create a 1 pixel border, and it'll make the menu item jump a little bit. So if we put one in there that's transparent that you can't see, it won't jump. Box shadow, don't need that on a non-hover, and we do need the margin top. So we've kind of split up our CSS now. Let's try that. That'll be pretty close to what we want. Let's refresh now, and these should go away until we hover on it. Okay, let's hover on one. There we go. We've got our little light box effect there. I want to sort of slow that down just a little bit. It's okay, but I think for me a little gradual slowdown is better. If you want to spread these apart a bit more, you can put a bit of margin left and right on the list item here, right here, but I'm happy with that. So let's slow this down a bit, and let's also affect our home page so it's also got that sort of glowing border. So if I click on this one that's already highlighted in that orange color, it should give us the current menu item. And if we look up here, the class, here it is, current menu item. And again, we're affecting the list item, not the link within it. So let's just copy this class. And I just need the current menu item. These are multi-classes here. Class, all these are classes. I just need this one. We'll pop this in down here, and it looks like I'm missing a curly bracket down here. Let's put a curly bracket in there. Now we've got a class name, so it's a period or dot, then the class name. Open and close some curly brackets. And what do we want to do with it? Well, I want to put that border on it, but I also want it to have that box shadow. So I'm going to take both of these, border and the box shadow, copy them, Control C, and paste them in the current menu item. We should be good to go. Let's save our changes. We'll go back to the site. I'll get rid of the inspector. Now when I refresh, our current item should be highlighted like our hover effect. Let's refresh. Okay, that's kind of there. Did I not put the border in? I did put the border in. Let's force that. And we'll save the changes. And let's refresh again. There we go, that's a bit more like it. So our active page has now got that border and hover effect, and when we hover over our others, they've also got that. There we go, there's how to add a little neon effect border to your links. So I hope you've enjoyed that today and found it useful. If you have, please give it a thumbs up, comment, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Once again, this has been Jamie with System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.